Hi everyone, Trevor Laley here. I am one of the many concerned members of the newly formed Eastside Lloydminster Citizens Coalition. I'm also a son, a brother, a husband, a father, a neighbor, and a business owner. I wanted to use this platform to shed light on the reality of what not just the east side of Lloydminster's homeowners, business owners, and families are enduring with the men's shelter as it is today, and why it is not a suitable place to expand or even remain in this area. Please keep in mind that we all want to see our families, friends, relatives, and loved ones have the tools at their disposal to get the help they want when they need it. Homelessness, addiction, and mental health needs must be addressed in order to keep a healthy, growing Lloydminster. I consider myself compassionate and empathetic towards these causes and would offer my services to help find or help develop a suitable permanent place for the well-being of these residents. As a family resident in this area since 2002, owning 2 properties, I and many others have seen with our own eyes the damages that the men's shelter has brought upon our community over the past 5 years. At some point, we have all fallen victims to the increased theft and vandalism. Tools, packages, and our own peace of mind have been stolen from us. Bikes, propane have been stolen right from our patios. The decreased property values. Many, if not all, homeowners in this area are using their properties as their retirement plan, as well as I. I no longer feel my retirement plan is viable, and I'm scrambling to come up with a new plan with so little time remaining. To Mr. Kagan and the board members, if you think this area is safe and the people you have deemed unwanted clients are just a couple of bad apples, if you think the immediate community is better off with the men's shelter, I strongly urge you to put your money where your mouth is. Buy property here and be our neighbors. We will welcome you with open arms. If you want to prove to the community that you are here for the people, to help the homeless, to help the addicted, and to help those with mental health needs, this is the only way that will get my vote of confidence. We need you to see your organization through the community's eyes. We all want and need a community support center, but it should not be at the expense of our businesses, our families' well-being, our children's safety, or our financial goals. People make bad decisions, and they themselves, as a rule, have to make right by them. These repercussions should not fall on the backs of our communities. Which brings me to Lloydminster's city land use bylaws. The zoning for the can-safe and men's shelter area is a C5, which clearly states in as few words as possible, any development shall not create a nuisance and must be compatible with the neighboring properties. This is a real blindside to our community. Having spent the majority of our working lives to pay for these properties as well as the ever-rising taxes, just have it wiped out by an organization that says it's here to help the community, but it's only at the expense of the community. For such stringent land use laws held in place by the city, it baffles me how these regulations have been overlooked, shoved under the carpet at the expense of the city as a whole. The building is available because the men's shelter is a nuisance and it is not compatible with the neighboring properties. This building is vacant because businesses could not, in their right mind, send their employees to this area in fear for their safety. In addition, right from the men's shelter's face page, when others turn them away, we welcome them, unless, and this term is created by Kagan Keene, the violent and aggressive. People deemed violent and aggressive by the men's shelter are denied entry. These unwanted clients now become surrounding areas problem to deal with. So businesses, homeowners, and our precious children now carry the burden of what the men's shelter deems no longer a client. This leaves our community to bear the brunt of it. When leaving our homes, we walk in pairs and not past dark. Children carry whistles and not to be left unattended any time of the day. Must stay in after dark. Burglaries, break-ins, thefts, physical attacks, mental abuse, indecent exposure, defecation, all of these completed with what seems to have no repercussions. Even with a constant police presence, we are still left to pick up the pieces on our own. While I and many others have various concerns, My main point of contention is the precise half 30 of the newly proposed beds, 60, are dedicated to clients with active addictions. We've seen in larger centers what this sort of approach does to the surrounding neighborhoods. There is ample evidence and great deal of concern that there will be increased illicit activity and safety concerns, especially for the young children who may encounter drug paraphernalia and the junior high students who are just a couple of blocks away. If not properly executed, the expansion may exacerbate existing issues without proper measures to mitigate the impact on the surrounding neighborhood. Some of the immediate concerns, the triple homicide and a drive-by shooting that happened less than a couple of weeks ago, also bringing in drug dealers, verbal and physical abuse, overdoses, discarded needles, condoms, and the donation clothing being discarded across our neighborhood. The men's shelter is all about helping the homeless, it seems at any cost. No matter if the schoolyards and playgrounds on evenings and weekends have no children playing in them, no matter if our communities surrounding businesses have to shut down or move to different locations, no matter that some businesses have hired security to walk around their premises to keep their employees and customers safe, no matter the playgrounds are filled with unwanted clients instead of our children and families, no matter if the daycare that is located 20 yards from the men's shelter's front door has needles, feces, unwanted clients on their doorstep every morning, no matter the vacancy in surrounding commercial buildings is alarming. The church across the street has to remove these unwanted clients from their doorsteps to start their sermons, no matter the cost it seems. How can one business be allowed to do such devastation to neighboring businesses, families, churches, and still ask for an expansion? If this expansion is to move forward with 3 times the amount of clients, there will be 3 times more devastation this community has to endure. At what point are you doing more harm than good? How is it there is no regard for the community's safety or well-being? It's a wonder how the city has allowed this to go on for as long as it has. For a business of this nature, it needs to have a completion of long-term impact study to evaluate the effects of residents, businesses, and the downtown development plan, including economic impacts and tourism. It should at least meet the minimum requirements of a cannabis store, which in my opinion is much safer. Lloydminster citizens all want the same thing. The community should be involved in this decision that directly affects us. There are ample buildings vacant in the city and as well as city-owned buildings that would work better and not be in residential areas. Why can't we work together to come up with a plan that makes it fair for the men's shelter as well as the community? Why is it the taxpayers take all the burden, lose all their investments, lose the way of life that we have all worked so hard to keep, lose the sense of safety and the sense of community? I urge the city to reevaluate their decision making. Come up with something that works for everybody instead of Lloydminster's residents taking the brunt of it. The mentality of if you don't want it in your backyard, why would I want it in my backyard is getting old, and quite frankly, it's an adolescent remark. In summary, the people I've spoken with are concerned about increased illicit activity, theft, drug use, vandalism, prostitution, and the physical and mental well-being of our families. We have no collective organized voice like the government, media outlets, and the men's shelter does. And so I think it's easy to ignore us, going home at night and putting the problem on the back burner because it's not my backyard or it's not my job, but it's our lives. We have to live it. We cannot escape it. And our property values have suffered immensely, being worth almost as much as they were 15 years ago. And that's the least of our problems. This is a city problem, and we are your citizens. Please do not ignore us. My family and I have taken the opportunity to canvass the neighborhood, going door to door, business to business, in hopes to get a realistic picture of how our community feels regarding the fallout of the men's shelter. An overwhelming number of my neighbors feel the same way. We are not heard. Our concerns have fallen on deaf ears. Our opinions are left as just that, an opinion. I challenge you, Kagan Keene, and your board members to go to your neighbors, door to door, business to business. Really hear what the community's outlook is. Instead of overlooking our concerns, work with us, and in return, we'll work with you. We all need a healthy environment, Kagan. All of us need a healthy environment to live in.